Hi everyone, this is your Tampa Bay realtor Lance Mohr, and in this video I want to go over 4 questions I get every so often that I've never really addressed before. And what they are is, should I buy a home if it backs up to a busy street? Should I buy a home if it backs up to a power line? Should I buy a home if it backs up to a vacant piece of dirt? Should I buy a home if someone died in it? So I'm going to go over these 4 questions in this video. All right, should I buy a home if it backs up to a busy street? Well, it really depends how busy that street is. Now, some people like backing up to a street opposed to another home because maybe they're going to put a pool in, or there's a pool in the home right now. So that's pretty common. But if you're backing up to a pretty busy road, you're going to most likely have a hard time for resale, because even if those people don't mind backing up to a busy road, there's a stigma about backing up to a busy road. So I would keep that in mind, and this goes for busy roads or even strip centers. So think of what's going to be behind the home. I had a client years ago that bought a home that backed up to a fire station, and he had the hardest time selling it. So another one that comes up every once in a while is, should I buy a home if it backs up to a power line? Now it depends what type of power line. Is it just a little 16,000 volt power line, or is it a 244,000 volt power line? So I think the problem with backing up to a power line is just the perception. People don't like it. I once had a home in Tampa Palms that backed up to a power line, and you really could barely see the power line because there were trees behind the home. We had 136 showings on the home before it sold. It was just absolutely unbelievable. And I told him this up front. I said, your home is absolutely gorgeous, and even though you don't mind backing up to a power line, perception's reality. Even if the person who's buying it doesn't mind backing up to the power line, they're going to probably want a good deal on it because they know a lot of people just don't want to do that. So you want to keep that into account. Now, the third one that comes up really quite often for me is backing up to a piece of dirt, a raw piece of land. And I've run into this before, many times. And I remember when I was newer in the business, I ran into it and I asked the listing agent, what's it zoned for behind? And he said it's zoned residential. And that's what the seller told him. Well, what happened is we called the zoning department the next day. I told the seller, I said, or the buyer, I said, call the zoning department and ask them, because I always like the buyers to do that, because if they're given a wrong answer, I don't want to be blamed. So they called the zoning department, and it was actually zoned residential multifamily. And if residential was going in, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But multifamily, if a apartment complex went in behind, the values would just really go down. So if you're backing up to a raw piece of dirt, make sure that you see what it's zoned for, and sometimes it just could be agricultural and it could just always stay that. So always make sure what it's zoned for, do your due diligence. And the last one, I've actually ran into this before. I've actually ran in to someone dying in the home. Now, I had a buyer that was literally looking for a needle in a haystack because they needed owner financing. We had very, very, very few choices. We went and looked at this one home, and he loved it. He said his wife would love it. She wasn't there. He was going to bring her back the next day, and there was this sweetest little old lady there. But what happened is, we're walking through the house. She pointed out to a bedroom, and she said, my husband died in that bed right there. And look, at the end of the day, we're all going to go sometime, and we're generally going to go outside the home, inside the home, or in the hospital. But the fact of the matter is, he knew his wife wouldn't like that, and he did, of course, the right thing, and he told her. She didn't like it, and it just sort of all blew up. They didn't end up buying the home, and I called the listing agent and let him know. So that's really a personal preference. I can't say it that you should or should not. It rarely ever comes up, but you know, it's just one of those things that it's really a personal preference. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. go below and leave a comment. Let me know what your question is. I'll do my best. I've ran across almost everything in residential real estate over the last 20 plus years in the business. If you're in the Tampa Bay area and I could help you, I would love to. I wish you the best of luck buying a home.